Hello. Not sure what the excitement is there. Uh, I can tell you that this is a pretty exciting deck, though. Bug Depths is that 61 card um, Bug Dark Depths deck. Not the Negator list. This is the 16th place GP Vegas list that the guy over at buglands.com has been working on for quite a long time. Donghee plays this locally. I've seen him pilot it once. I've never actually played against him with it, but I put this list together a few weeks ago also, and I 3-0'd with it the other day. It's quite interesting. I mean, there's a lot of advantages to it. I wrote about it on the source recently, explaining that there's quite a lot of advantages to having a control deck that also has such a quick, fast possible win condition, like a 20-20 on turn 3 or 4. As well as being able to just grind the game out with Loam. Also in this matchup, which I have played before, the Loam deck really kind of falls into the Bug Depths trap of controlling what they're doing, and then like just dying to a Jace ultimate or something, because I mean you've got the advantage of playing blue. Unfortunately though, he is mulling very quickly to 5 and scrying to the bottom. So he's going to start at a pretty heavy card deficit here. We'll see how game 1 goes. When the lone player is going to try to grind the bug player out, and the bug player will coincidentally try to grind the lone player out. This list does run 3 Abrupt Decay, so the Chalice that we see pulled forward in the lone player's deck won't be that good. Punishing Fire isn't that good in the matchup either. Both players have access to ways to search up lands and Bajuka Bog each other. Both players have access to their own Thespian stages for the other person's Dark Depths. There's a lot of tricky things that can take place here. Although the Depths player is the one with the access to crop rotation, whereas the lone player cannot be quite as tricky because he's kind of relying on Knight of the Reliquary. It's interesting the choice to brainstorm here. Using up his fetch sort of indicates that he's on the hunt for something very specific. But if it was just a land, then I would be willing to wait until my next main phase to make sure I hit it. I do believe that he knows what this matchup is, so I don't think he's playing in the dark here. Another interesting thing about this deck is that it does run 3 Stifles in the main. The new version that I'm working on has forsaken those Stifles, but this is 100% the list that you'll find on the Buglands website. I might even link that below here, since a lot of people I know will be interested in this list. It's a known entity in Legacy now because of the 16th place finish, but the guy has been putting in a lot of work on this deck for quite a long time. Donghee also, he's been known to play like Noble Bug, but he has not sleeved up a true name in a long time. I think that this deck has completely stolen his heart. Oh, I see. So Donghee neglects to Loam back, or to dredge up his life from the Loam, because he had planned on killing this Scavenging Ooze first. That's fine. And he'll just keep chugging ahead here. He's already ahead on lands. He had a Loam activation. I can tell you right now that the deck does not care about Liliana whatsoever. There's plenty to discard to her. And the other day, actually playing against Pox, I believe a Pox player ulted Lily against me twice, destroying half my permanents over and over again, which was just lands, then I'd loan them all back. So that is the best use of Lily there. He lost his second copy of Abrupt Decay there to take care of Lily. Only 1 remaining in the deck now. Get 3 lands back. I'm unsure if is that going to be 6 cards. Plenty of ammo to discard to Liliana now. Both players very flush with lands. Wasteland's not going to do much against the Bug player at the moment. Cabal Pit is probably the worst land, so you can probably throw that one away. But he decides that the Wasteland is just even as useless. Now the Knight does represent a way to beat the other player down and to eventually go grab the combo. So you're gonna have to find a way to remove that Knight. Is that a force in hand? Did he not have a blue card to pitch to it? Because he played one Abrupt Decay already, and then he dredged another away. He doesn't really have that many ways of getting rid of the Knight. It's quite expensive. How much is that? He's elected to pay 7. So coming soon here, if he continues making his land drops, kind of disregarding Lily, then he can probably find Snap Decay. Snap Toxic Deluge is not unheard of for this deck either. Now he has access to a Bazooka Bog. Just continue loaming every turn. And elects to grab a fetch again this time. Bob will actually clock him relatively fast here if he doesn't take care of it. But right now he's on the plan of wasting his companion down here. Bob reveals Bob. Maybe plus Liliana first here. Or not. So the life totals should be 16. Thank you. So make another Dark Confidant. Activate Lily, swing for 2. I don't know that the Wasteland matters. I mean, you may as well. I think, did he neglect to... He stopped ticking Lily up and he did not attack? I don't understand what happened there. He's drawing a lot of cards now, so I guess I would feel comfortable activating Lily. It doesn't matter that there's a Loam engine going on. I mean, I understand that he's going to continue discarding lands, but it's still helpful. Double waste. Not quite enough resources to get rid of the green land in order to keep him from loaming, but it doesn't matter at this point. He's too low on resources to continue. So the sideboard for this deck is a Crop Rotation, the 4th copy, a Flusterstorm, an Invasive Surgery, 2 Surgicals, 3 Thoughtseize, a Collective Brutality, a Golgari Charm, a Toxic Deluge, a Pithing Needle, and a 2nd copy of Pernicious Deed. From here, I think against Loam, I would like to see the Surgicals, the 2nd Deluge, the 2nd Pernicious Deed, and a Golgari Charm come in here. I also like the crop rotation in decks without blue. Um, I wouldn't be surprised to see him packing the full 4 copies now. I think you can probably shave the stifles, although it does have a number of good hits here. The Loam player accelerates turn 2 into what looks like probably Punishing Fire turn 1 on Deathrite Shaman. He had his choice between Punishing Fire and Abrupt Decay. I can see the arguments for both, but I mean the Punishing Fire is such high value. And the Chalice resolves. We should note that the deck does run 3 basics, so that Ghost Quarter wasn't the biggest of deals. Aha. That Wasteland was a very good choice here. And if I had an Abrupt Decay in hand right now, I would be pretty tempted to Abrupt Decay the Mox Diamond. He has it. The lone player's like, my Chalice is dying, right? Right. No, yeah. Okay, so our opponent missed a land drop and is now stuck on just Forest. And we have plenty of time to work our way around a Chalice on 1. He's going to do that. He does that Korean thing where he slow rolls himself. If I know this deck very well, even with the Chalice on 1, Donghi can probably get together a Merit Lage very quickly here. And our friend on Loam has been punished hard by apparently just a Wasteland and an Abrupt Decay. And he, yeah. When you've got nothing else to do with your mana, you must make the best play, and you start thawing out your Dark Depths. I think that his hand is tied up with a lot of 1s right now, but he is not worried and feels ahead. He also has a lot of time to find Snapcaster, if he doesn't already have it, in order to deal with the Chalice and then just run away with the game. In fact, if he's going up to 4 mana right now instead of just thawing and untapping, then I do think that there is a Snapcaster here. Okay, so bye-bye Chalice, and we'll start a clock. Slightly better play than thawing Dark Depths down to 8. Oh, and then deploys his locked up Death Rites. If this is discard phase, then I have no problem with our friend on the left just scooping the game at this point. Because this was a rough one. And another thing with the opponent now discarding and not doing anything. From Donghi's seat, I'm of the position that you just refuse to play anything else for the rest of the game. Like, I'm pretty sure Snap Deathrite is going to close it. So in the face of the active death rights, the life from the Loam is pretty valueless. You don't want to put a sorcery in the yard anyway, and the Mazavith is going to disappear the second you target it. So he elects to play nothing. I thought maybe he would cast a Dark Confidant, but the Abrupt Decay makes much more sense here. Here we see the relaxed manner of a control player with all the resources he needs and nothing threatening him, playing very loosely. And the Wasteland is needed in order to try to afford Knight of the Reliquary next turn. But a Jace is going to hit the table now, so I don't think we have much more to say about this game. Second copy of Wasteland, okay. The funny thing about the Knight of the Reliquary is that since the other lands had been removed due to the Deathrite Shamans, Cabal Pit starts actually looking a little fearsome against it. Obviously, in this case, he does have a second Wasteland, so he can get it up to a 3/3. This turn on the important turn. However, the Jace can take care of it regardless. That's a smart attack too. It's nice to just tell your opponent that you know that you're in control and you have a lot of ways of dealing with his knight, so you force him to act first. There's another way of dealing with knight. And Sylvan Library is a very good card in this matchup that the Loam player would have liked to see forever ago, after not missing so many land drops at the beginning, of course. So the Bug Lands player has kept 7 here and will be on the draw. Last game, I did not see any indication that there was like a crop rotation left in his deck, so it might be that he's decided that he should take the hard control rule and just eventually get a Merit Lage rather than attempting to combo off quickly. If that's the case, then I'm a little suspect of how he elected to play the Dark Depths so early in the game, because if a Knight of the Reliquary ever stuck, and or if a Thespian stage was ever drawn, then you can be in really big trouble in these lands matchups where both people have access to a lot of utility lands. Turn 1 Dark Confidants, beautiful. Anyway, it's very upsetting to expose your Dark Depths and have somebody go ahead and Thespian stage you and take the game immediately. Dark Confidant really showing here why the 3 and 4 color Loam variants are the absolute best home for that deck. I mean, he's so many free cards. I think the life total is 1918. Thank you. Okay. One activation of Loam is still pretty good. He's refilled his hand here. He'll scout out his deck here and find that there was only 2 copies of Life from the Loam, which is not unexpected. And take a look through. Notice that the what do you call them? The Punishing Fires are still in the deck. Lilianas and stuff were still in the deck. It may just be that there aren't enough good cards to bring in, but I think that those are pretty underwhelming. And we'll see if Dongyi has an answer to the Dark Confidant who is pinging him. It's not that much of a big deal now, but the life totals really matter in this deck when you can't come up with a blocker and or you can't find enough removal. Things like Toxic Deluge end up becoming uncastable pretty quickly. However, answers like Cabal Pit get very quick and easy. And the no escalate is interesting. No, wait, that's not interesting at all because he knows that the opponent's hand is just a fetch and a Bayou. And if he had drawn anything else, then it would have been cast. So instead of escalating, throwing away the Cabal Pit, even though he has the Life from the Loam in the hand, which would have been sweet value, he decides that the hand is probably just lands and just uses 1 mode on Collective Brutality here. A single target Life from the Loam. Leaving it a little exposed here. But since it is a fetch land, that's quite good. He needs to search out more mana producing lands and quickly, so that for the rest of the game he can try to dredge like utility lands in. Like that. Oh, the sideboard for this deck also often has a second copy of Leovold to go along with the original one in the main deck. You can see if he's shuffling through, maybe there's a second copy of Leovold. I think he's good in this matchup, so I wouldn't be surprised but it's not completely necessary. So, like I said, Liliana does not feel very threatening here. The Bug Depths player just always has a lot of lands to discard, and the ultimate is not very scary either. Unless, of course, your opponent is already winning in some other way, and she's really constricting you. It's just not a very traditional control list where you're sitting on a bunch of counter spells. And 3 utility lands in a row. Life from the Loam can now target all 3 of these new things. No, just the fetch again. And the Wasteland and the Stage. Probably play Stage for the turn. I would probably play Stage. By playing Fetch here, he will continue to advance his mana, but he will also set himself on the combo back by at least 1 turn. And he obviously cannot play the naked Dark Depths because of the threat of another stage from his opponent. The Wasteland is necessary for the Caracas. So he needed at least 3 turns worth of land plays to get Merit Lage out. And he's now made that at least 4 because he chose to play Polluted Delta this turn. Maybe it's that old thing where control players feel like when they're in control they don't even need to win very fast. They enjoy their life so much that they take like suboptimal lines and just think, you know, I can win eventually. You find invasive surgery? Okay. The pickings are sort of slim here. The deck only runs 3 Force of Will. The blue count is also a little low.
브레스 썼잖아요. 그리고 자기가 3장 뽑는 거잖아요. 그렇죠. 3장 뽑기 전에 드래치 하면 드래치 할 거 정해야 돼? 아니면 2장 뽑고 나서 보고 나서 드래치 정할 수 있어요?
들어올 때마다.
그러니까 궁금해서 물어보는 거. 3장을 한꺼번에 뽑게 돼 있는데 그걸 그렇게 돼요? 그럼 뽑을 때 할 수 있나요?
지금 그렇게 하셨어요?
아니,
그렇게는
안 했어요. 이거 안 돼요.
지금은 모르죠. 일단 하면 알려드릴게요.
I didn't see anything wrong happen here. I think that the Loam player wanted to know how Life from the Loam interacts with Brainstorm, which is a fine question. I'm not sure that it warrants a judge call in the middle of the game where it wasn't even used. I think this Green Sun is going to resolve. He did find a Liliana of the Veil to make him sacrifice whatever it is that he finds, which I have to believe is Night. Find Dat Beat Stick. Is it Scavenging Ooze? He's got a Knight of the Reliquary and a Scavenging Ooze pulled forward. The Ooze can eat 2 things before it dies right now.
그냥
상뽑길래나 그거 나올 줄 알았는데. 한장더 있지롱.
So he places a lot of value
손에 있는데.
on getting rid of the life from the Loam immediately.
한장더 있대 손에.
And he refuses to use his second mana on anything because of the presence of the Cabal Pit, which is great. That's fine. That's smart play, but the Ooze is still going to die to Liliana. In a very Jundi manner. Wow, he's so greedy.
무덤 좀 볼게요.
풍선 맞고 안 돼요.
So he has the Liliana answer in hand. He wants to use an Abrupt Decay on end step instead, and free up his next turn a little bit, maybe keep Liliana ahead on counters. He's lost his life from the Loam, so Liliana has gotten quite a lot worse. But this game looks pretty gravy for him. He's got a much heavier hand. And he finds Snapcaster. He plays out the Dark Depths. He's not afraid.
번에 지짐 나가서 봤어요.
지지면 전화죠.
지짐 나가서 딱 땄는데 따끈따끈한데 총알 딱 하고 나서 땅을 하나 받았는데 웨이스트랜드 그냥 했어요. 어떻게든 맞췄어. 졌어요. 어떻게 그럼 져야죠.
So what is that? You found Ghost Quarter, so that's... actually, you should... Hey, buddy, don't let him untap and get to his main phase without using Ghost Quarter. Buddy, are you gonna draw step him? I guess if you let him play out the stage here, the sloppy Liliana activation there. If you let him play out the stage when he has main phase priority, then you can still interrupt the combo here. Wait, don't he refused to make a land drop also? So he gave up his wasteland, which was supposed to deal with the Caracas. And he's not placing any weight on comboing with Merit Lage at all, I guess. He's not even making his land drops anymore. That's a Cephalic Coliseum, one of for Threshold draw 3, discard 3. Quite a nice late game with life from the Loam.
일단 3,000원 생각해보자.
And Green Suns is going to go find Knight of the Reliquary. But in the face of the Liliana, I'm afraid for our Loam player here. I'm not sure how he plans to keep it alive. Okay.
근데 안 나온 땅이 너무 많다.
이겼네. 이겼다.
졌다. 먼저 우리 좀.
하나.
우주 3대.
존나 욕심쟁이. 보여주고 올라가. 나 양아치야. 나 놀리는 거지.
빨리 접어요.
싫은데요? 구경할 건데.
He doesn't want to get rid of the crop rotation or the Jace, I guess. Yeah, but he's decided that he just doesn't want to go for Dark Depths at all.
그죠? 그죠?
네, 내려요.
and wants to win off of Liliana Jace.
모르니까 세개 중에 하나 고르자.
And I guess the real winner here, Snapcaster Mage, who might end it himself.
아니, 버릴 건데 써야지.
제가 2대1로 졌어요.
And he keeps putting it on 1, but I feel like the Bug Depths deck actually cares about it on 2?
오르는 게 제일 싫어.
Because of Baleful Strix, Life from the Loam, Snapcaster.
카운터 맞고 싶어도 만화 풀어야지.
아니야 이거
아,
디스카드 있어. 정신 차리 친구야. 무던쟁이 올라왔어.
후기에 올라올 사람들이 많고.
그지 같다. 아 잘하시네요. 댓글 달 생각하니까.
올릴게요.
And she's like, that's fine.
좋은 거예요.
하나도 안 되는데 슬프네. 아, 개슬프다.
And I'm okay with putting it away here. Especially when the Peanut Gallery comes to observe.
왜 저래?
이것이 바로 우스프다.
얘궁 뭐였지? 지는 게임 진다 아닌가?
진다야.
진다.
그러니까 진다라고 했잖아. 그래서
그럼 저건 어떻게 해요?
없어.
진다.
Okay. Maybe I'm a bit hasty on my scoops. I don't want to see a game like this. I don't want to see my opponent. He leaves Knight of the Reliquary on top, forcing his opponent to fetch, and then let's see if he checked his. He did not check his top card. Oh, didn't even want to see. And that apparently is the final straw. We don't want to see any more of that. I think we've got Bug Depths coming up again next round again, so please tune back in. Thank you.